The Sopranos is considered arguably the greatest television show ever made, and it boasts an impressive collection of actors to make up its cast. Over the years, we've heard numerous stories of how the cast of The Sopranos was like one big happy family, where everyone got on, where they supported each other and had a deep connection with one another. As many of them were Italian Americans just like their characters, there was even a cultural affinity. The late James Gandolfini in particular is remembered fondly and lovingly by his castmates who don't have a single bad word to say about him. In fact, Gandolfini even sorted out tense contract negotiations between the cast and the studio by giving each of his co-stars $33,000 of his own money, though Steven Van Zandt, who played Silvio, said it wasn't because of salary disputes, but because Gandolfini had just gotten a big pay rise and wanted to divide it among the cast. As Van Zandt put it, he was one of a kind. However, the cast haven't always been in Butterbrickle, and there have been issues here and there, from actors upset at getting killed off, someone in the crew leaking scripts, or actors being unavailable because they're literally criminals and eventually got sent to prison. The most notable case of an actor seemingly not getting on with the rest of the cast and having a negative reputation among fans who have met him is Joseph R Gannascoli, who played Vito Spatafore on the show. Initially being on the show as Gino from the bakery shop, Gannascoli would later rejoin the cast in a far bigger role as mobster Vito, who rises through the ranks to become Tony Soprano's highest earner, until he's outed as a chap-swearing ass muncher and has to go on the run, eventually being killed by the mob. There's some strange stories about the actor that have been circulating for many years now. I heard there were doings, so I decided to investigate and see what's what. Now, I don't want this video to become fucking slander, ask me, a roast session of sorts, and I'm not going to condemn the man off the word of some douchebags off the internet, so it goes without saying, take everything you hear with a pinch of salt. Plus, a lot of old interviews and gossip from the industry is no longer available, so it's hard to verify some of this stuff. All things considered, I've seen interviews with the actor where he comes off as a respectable guy, a good laugh and easy to talk to. I even asked him myself a few weeks ago to talk about this stuff, which he seemed open to, but it died in the vine. We couldn't work out a date and time and it petered out. Maybe I should ask him again. But there's a lot of rumours and shit-flinging from fans and Sopranos cast members. You'd think while filming the actors were jumping out of trees at each other with chainsaws with some of the stuff that's been said. I've come to my own conclusion, as you'll see at the end of this two-part video, and I think a lot of the gossip actually stems from one guy, a guy who should seriously start considering salads. So here we go with this two-part video, the first of which will focus mainly on Gandolfini's interaction with fans, and with the second one we'll be looking at Gannascoli's relationship with the rest of the Sopranos cast. So let's start off with Gannascoli's post-Sopranos life. He hasn't had the most noteworthy acting career since the show ended, as with much of the Sopranos cast. A general thought about Joseph, though, is that he has milked his time on The Sopranos to the absolute fullest, squeezing that tit dry. Wherever he can, whenever he can, he seems to have used his minute of fame to make a buck. He has the second most expensive cameo, only behind the actress who played Adriana. For those who don't know, this is a thing where you can pay actors to record a little video where they record a happy birthday message for you or something. Just to put this into perspective, he's more expensive than Joe Pantoliano, bona fide Hollywood actor who is in The Matrix, Memento and Bad Boys. Hey, he was the top fucking earner for a reason. In addition to this, Gannascoli has his own branded vodka, and you can often see videos of him endorsing restaurants and random products for cash, even saying random things in YouTube videos, presumably because someone has handed him some money on the streets. There's videos of him on Instagram and TikTok promoting random sandwich shops and stuff. And I even saw one, which I can't find now, of him poking fun at himself in The Sopranos and pretending he had a cock in his mouth. There's a story of him, and this kind of thing seems to be a common occurrence, signing autographs in the deli section of a grocery store. I mean, you could end the story right there, right? But shoppers were on their last-minute holiday shopping and didn't pay him much attention. The grocery manager even spoke over the intercom saying Vito from The Sopranos is signing autographs, but Gannascoli pretty much just sat there looking silly as people weren't interested. There's even a snapshot of him there. For a guy who was a supporting character in probably the best TV series ever made, this kind of behaviour does come off as weird, petty and pathetic, and more in line with what Vito himself might do to make some extra cash when he isn't greasing the union. But I gotta counsel and offer some context. Supporting characters on The Sopranos were not paid anywhere near as much as we might think, and their bottom lines get impacted when they're killed off the show. And I've seen Gannascoli talk about how he used to be a degenerate gambler. He got addicted to gambling, he let himself go, he put on a lot of weight after being in good shape, and he lost a lot of money on bets. Apparently, Johnny Cakes isn't the only thing he blew. He blew all the money he made on the show, and is supposed to be pretty broke apparently. Also, if you or I were on such a show, wouldn't we want to make as much money off our 5-minute fame as possible? I mean, the guy's got to eat, and he probably eats a lot. I could care less, basically. There's also the cooking stuff. For a fair amount of cash, you can actually hire the actor out to be a warm and convivial host, cooking you and your friends an evening meal at your home where he'll sign autographs and tell stories about his time on the show. Again, on a level this sounds so weird. After all, remember when is the lowest form of conversation, but why not? It's a great way to make money and to interact with fans, and from what I gather, Gannascoli's first passion was cooking, not acting, and he considers himself a chef as much as he considers himself an actor. But here's where the conversation gets difficult. And there's so many anecdotes out there about this that I think we're at a stage where it's impossible to deny.
We can't be in denial no more, much as we love him.
Apparently, in New Jersey, there is a Sopranos tour bus that goes around town, and whether it's just a joke, whether it's the blood pressure medication messing with his head, but Gannascoli reportedly follows the bus around, trying to sell unlicensed, overpriced Sopranos merchandise out of the boot of his Crown Vic or Toyota Yaris when the bus stops and fans get out.
And you used to sell laser printers out the back of your Crown Vic.
And when he does the selling, he employs the sleaziest of salesman tactics, aggressively bullying people into buying stuff. Tactics like signing random items and then claiming to fans that they have to buy the stuff now that he signed them. 2 miles he walks every day to catch that Sopranos tour bus. Here's some anecdotes I found online. I did the Sopranos tour in New York years ago. When we got on the bus, the first seat had a reservation sign and we were told a star would be joining us on the tour. Anyway, no one ever showed. When the tour finished, we were told to go across the street to meet someone. There he was, the captain of the good ship Lollipop, selling merch out of the back of his Crown Vic. Cheap shit like cast photos printed on a crap printer from home. He signed them and asked for $20. He had a book he'd written, so I bought that. I also had my photo taken with him. All up, I was $90 down, and that was before inflation, Tone. I tried to talk to him about the show and his life, and he was very dismissive. Here's another weird one. My friend and his dad ran into Gannascoli once at a restaurant on Long Island where we live and I think he lives. He gets spotted at that restaurant pretty regular, I think. They walked up to him and asked for a photo and he said it was like $50 or some unreasonable amount for a photo. So my friend's dad was like, I don't have that much cash on me, some other time. And Gannascoli proceeds to pull out his phone with one of those attachments that lets you swipe a debit credit card and deposit money straight into his bank app. They tried to politely decline, but apparently he was really pushy. And long story short, my friend had an extremely awkward picture with the Joseph Gannascoli.
Out of money in his shit.
Here's another. So I'm from Australia and a trip over to the US in 2009 and book the Sopranos tour and it says you get to meet a Sopranos star. It's Joe. I'm like, cool. And then he wants $20 a picture. So I'm like, what the hell? It's a once in a lifetime thing. And then he starts trying to sell a cookbook, some pictures, other stuff that wasn't exactly cheap out of his trunk. So I declined politely and tried to ask him some questions about the show, and because I didn't buy anything, he just gives one-word answers and then says, so you're gonna buy anything else? I decline again, and then he just stops talking and looks at me. It was just weird. I just walked off back to the bus. This is an interesting one. My dad is a limo driver and picked him up. My dad said I was a huge fan. I went into the cafe he was doing his cooking in. In fairness, he did remember my dad and took a picture with me. But as soon as I mentioned Sopranos, he just shut off and ignored it, which is strange. It's all he's known for, and he's still trying to profit from it. He also sent some sleazy messages to my sister on Instagram. and the guy who owned the cafe said he was a sleaze, and he was asking what the broads were like in Dublin, and should he bring his wife over, or is that like bringing a cake to a wedding? There's loads of these stories, some as recent as 2018, maybe some even more recent. It sounds like he creepily stalks Sopranos tour buses, walks up to you, puts a signed photo in your pocket and says,
"Give me $1,000.
Maybe one day you come out of a portaloo and he corners you, leaving you with an empty wallet and a sore ass. What can I say? He was born, grew up, spent a few years on The Sopranos, a few more selling DVDs, and here he is, half a chef. There's also this anecdote. During the epic Yankees-Red Sox rivalry of the early 2000s, I saw him show up to one of the playoff game watches at the main Red Sox bar in LA dressed totally in Yankees gear, trying to be a troll apparently. It was the weirdest thing. The bar was totally slammed and he couldn't even get beyond the doorway. Just standing there, hoping to be recognized or start shit or something. Everyone ignored him and eventually he left. So all in all, he just seems to be a bit unseemly towards fans, a shady grifter who's more interested in selling merch than fan interaction, and maybe a bit of a troll. Then there was the time Gannascoli arrived at a Facebook Sopranos meme group hosted by Generation Z, and he showed up to sell t-shirts for $60 a shirt. And instead of having some easy sells with hardcore Sopranos fans, he just got repeatedly roasted with non-stop ass rape until he couldn't take it anymore. It's a private group, so I couldn't find a lot of the exchange, but apparently the turd that broke the faggot's ass was this comment. Did they really shove a pool cue up your ass, or was that just movie magic? Gannascoli, the alleged creator of the Vito gay subplot, a veteran actor who went to heavy depths to capture the nuance of portraying a homosexual man trapped in a homophobic environment, responded with the sensitivity you might come to expect from such an author. First they put it up your mother's cunt, and then my ass, and by the way, you're an ugly fuck to boot. He also left a female group member with this cherished message. Gannascoli's odd behaviour has started to become more and more well known as the years have gone by, with fans often poking fun at the actor. When some fans invited him to a gay club, he responded with this video.
Anyway, I'm sure yous all fucking get together, drink a lot of fucking beer, then have a big fucking gay romp. Is that what goes on in those pubs? That's why they're all looking to get me over there, in the fucking pubs. I gotta be honest with you, it's just a fucking show, alright? I like broads.
So let's leave it there for now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with part 2 of this video, where we'll focus on Gannascoli versus the Sopranos cast. Do you have a Joseph Gannascoli horror story? Have you spotted him in the wild, roaming around like the Jersey Devil? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.